This is 0612 TV.
Welcome aboard.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to this review of the Aputure Amaran AHL-N60 Ring Light. In a nutshell, this is a 60 LED video and flashlight for DSLR cameras. Now I do want to point out that the version I have is for Nikon cameras. That's what the N in the model number stands for. If you have a Canon DSLR, you want to look for the AHL-C60 instead. As far as I understand, the only difference between these two variations is the hot shoe mount. Now I got mine secondhand, so I'm not going to talk about how much I paid for it, but if you look on places like Amazon, it normally lists for between $40 and $50 US. This is a surprisingly complex and useful piece of kit, so without further ado, let us jump right into breaking it down. First, in the box you have an instruction manual, 8 different ring mounts, as well as the light itself. The light consists of the halo ring itself connected to a control unit. The ring mounts are a series of mounting devices. Essentially, the way they work is they go on the filter thread of your lens, and 8 different mounts are there for different size filter threads. Once installed, they create a little groove in which you can actually mount the light on. And then of course we move on to the light itself. Clips at the side of the actual light allow you to actually mount this onto the mounting ring or onto the actual control unit. At the bottom of the control unit you have a hot shoe mount. At the front there are these 2 little clips in which you can attach the light. At the side you have a battery port where 4 AA batteries go in, and at the back you have a series of controls as well as indicator LEDs. Operation is simple. The knob itself is a dimmer. Turn it towards the right and the light gets brighter. If you turn it all the way to the left, you'll hear a click and the light switches off. You can also use one button to toggle which half of the light you want to use, or if you want to use the entire light. The 2 outer buttons allow you to switch the light to a continuous video mode or to a flash mode, which is triggered by the hot shoe. When in the flash mode, the flash button also acts as a test trigger. Installation of this light onto your DSLR is extremely simple. First, check the thread size of your lens, pick the appropriate mounting ring that fits the thread size, and attach that to your camera. Connect the light to the hot shoe of your DSLR, attach the ring light either to the lens or to the body of the actual flash, and basically you're ready to go. Turn on the flash and set it to the flash mode, and anytime you take a picture, the flash will fire. If you do not want it to fire, simply turn the dimmer all the way to the left. So personally, I've actually used the light on a few occasions, sometimes mounted to a camera, sometimes just on its own. It is definitely extremely useful for both macro photography and as a video light. It is surprisingly bright for a battery powered light, and the batteries last really long as well. The light is even and soft, and it creates these very nice shadows around the subject. And well, just to demonstrate that effect, here are a couple of test shots. Generally, between the 2 shots, my camera settings are different to make up for the difference in exposure. Look out for the difference in contrast the light actually provides. Some of these pictures were taken in bright sunlight, and even under these conditions, you can see the difference in contrast that the light actually provides. Product shots look great with this light. Sometimes you can see the reflection, and just the illumination provided makes the whole product shot look a lot more professional. And of course, you can make use of the reflection to do some pretty trippy effects. So what are some of the shortcomings of this light? Well, the first and most noticeable is the vignetting that comes about when you have the light attached. I mean, it's something big and thick attached to the front of your lens, so it's kinda unavoidable that it appears in the shots. In most cases, you do have to zoom in significantly to crop out the light. In fact, for the lens I used, it was impossible to entirely crop out the light. Even when I fully zoomed in, you can still see a little bit of vignetting. And even when you don't have the light on, you just have the mounting ring screwed onto the filter thread, you can actually see a little bit of vignetting when you're shooting wide. So that's definitely one thing you have to look out for. You might find yourself actually constantly removing and putting back the mounting ring just to be able to take shots at different focal lengths. In addition, the flash synchronization is limited to 1/200 of a second. What this means is if you're shooting at a very high shutter speed, what's going to happen is the light is going to go off too late. Now, I was actually trying to look for some way to demonstrate this to you, and eventually I realized that the method to do this was to take a selfie. So I did one of those typical mirror shots, This particular shot was shot at 1/500 of a second, which is well over the 1/200 of a second limit. Essentially, as you can see, I managed to capture some of the lights being on and some of the lights being half on or entirely off. I took a few other shots at higher shutter speeds and, well, this is the result. It's actually quite surreal to see the lights being half on, in action like that. But yeah, the problem is the shutter closes before the light switches on. And if you're actually using this to take a photo, essentially what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a partially illuminated image. Of course, there is a very simple workaround. If you know that you're gonna be shooting at extremely high shutter speeds, then turn on the continuous mode so that the light will be on all the time. Not extremely ideal, especially in terms of battery use, but well, that is the only way you're gonna get this to work. Then of course, there is the reflection. As mentioned earlier, the reflection can be quite desirable depending on what you want to do, but there are also situations where you don't want to see the reflection, but the reflection is there. It might get rather distracting, but it's probably possible to diffuse this somehow using paper or tape or whatever. I personally never tried any of these methods, but I'll be looking into doing something along those lines. So what is my verdict on this light? Well, simply that it does its job well. I don't believe this is for everyone. If you don't do macro photography, if you don't do video, you might not find a need for this particular device. But if you do, well, this will probably do the job quite well for you. Generally, I think it is a good investment. It is small, it is light, it is battery powered, making it extremely portable. It's just a versatile, multi-purpose device that goes a long way when you need it. Personally, I don't use it extremely often, but when I do use it, it does dramatically improve the look of my shots. So yeah, despite the shortcomings listed, I don't really have any complaints about this particular device. I'm enjoying the use of it. I think it's doing its job very well for me. So well, that pretty much wraps it up for this particular review. Anyway, that wraps it up for this particular review. I hope you found it useful. But until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Hello, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, remember that I appreciate every like, favorite, and comment you give me. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And for more updates outside of YouTube, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at 0612TV. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.